Hello and welcome back to this latest recording with Nikki Hambling and Orchid Fitness. This session is a Pilates class. We will be using the release balls to work around the shoulder area and around the leg area. Please make sure that you've also read the disclaimer, also that you have some water with you, possibly a towel, and any equipment that you find helpful for the class. Perhaps a mat, a block, and maybe a slightly larger ball, Pilates ball, although the smaller release balls will do fine. I hope you enjoy the class and look forward to hearing any feedback that you might have for me. I look forward to also seeing you on the next video. Thank you. So hopefully we're all muted. Nice. Okay. So yeah, grab a ball. If you haven't done anything yet, you can just do your little check-in to see what your movement is like and if it's what it's feeling like, and then if we are able to make any changes to it. If one side feels like it needs more than the other, do that one first. What we'll start with is just popping the ball underneath here and around the shoulder girdle. So find yourself a bit of space on the wall, 1 foot in front, 1 behind. I don't mind which way you do that. It's just for comfort, really. Various ways of working into fascial parts of the body. You work all parts of the body when you do this, but we're focusing on the fascia, seeing if we can release some of that as well. So moves that you can do are to squeeze, release, so using the pressure from the wall, so a little bit of a gentle bounce, or just a general, baloo type scrub to release off around the shoulders, and just to going across the top first. Also work across the top of the shoulder girdle here, the spine of the scapula, and just give that a little bit of a release as well. Oh, that's nice. And then bring it so you've got the ball underneath those structures. Again, be wary because it can be a little bit sensitive in that area. So just go in gently to start with. There's no benefit to be gained from barging straight in. It's that good old bull in a china shop saying. So really sort of try and work. Again, be mindful of going directly onto the bones. You want to just try and avoid that because it is painful. But just go in enough to know that you're catching the areas that feel a little bit like, oh, it could do with a bit of, if you were having a massage, it would be just getting into those areas. Okay, so just do what you need to with the feet just to get that momentum, and work all the way down your rib cage and onto the top of the pelvis, just to see how that feels. Nice little bit of a release. Well done. I think summer's back this morning. It seemed really nice out there today. So excellent. So when you've done that one side, let's say take a bit of time to do across the top of the hip as well, because we're getting a good connection there with all the support structures. We could spend time we could do a whole class on just releasing, which I might do, you never know. But once you've done that side, let's just have a little check-in, see how it feels. Feels nicer. So have a little look at your own range of movement to see whether it feels different. I know some of you get really good results with these, so it's worth just having a little try. But the one thing is if it feels like it's a bit lighter, there's less tension to hold. So psychologically, you think, oh, I haven't got to fight to keep that tension. So, right, can I be seen on this bit of wall? Can't see through my lamp. No. I will go this way, sideways on. Again, proving the point that you don't need much space. You can do all of these. And particularly if you're watching this on a pre-record view back and not in the live class, my thinking is if you're away on holiday, maybe, a bit of room space, don't need much. Okay, so you can just work to energize all the way around. So start with the outer structures around the shoulder, go across the top of that shoulder girdle. Think of your shoulder blade like a triangle, and across the top of the triangle, a little way down, there's a slightly bigger, like a bit of a ridge. It's called the spine of the scapula. And that is where some of the muscles attach onto. So you can also sort of get good release for some of those bigger muscles. And then change it so you work to the sideways releases underneath the armpit, particularly where all those muscles converge underneath that shoulder. And just think about gently releasing them off. You'll know which bits you need to do. And as we've talked about through the term so far, is the rotational relevance. So if you can rotate better, it gives you better movement throughout a lot of other moves. So walking, running, dancing, bending, driving a car, twisting to see what's coming. Excellent. Any of you that have got neck tightness, it's also worth thinking, because you've got the trapezius up the top of here. So you could just come back up and just gently put a little bit of pressure through the neck. You could either do it with a bit of self-massage into the neck, or you could use the wall. Just be gentle to yourself, because you can release a lot of tension in that area, which is great. But for me, if I go too hard and fast, it sometimes gives me a migraine, because it's released all that tension. So it's how you want to do it. But again, get in the habit of doing these things regularly. And I find that the tension doesn't build so much. Ooh, when you're ready, have another little shake. Okay. I'm not going to lead too much, but I know that my arms feel better, is what I will say. And if there's anybody else with that kind of reaction to it, really nice. So really useful to be able to get that range of movement. It's like a t-shirt. It's like somebody grabs hold of the scruff of your neck in like that, but then you've released it and you can get your arms back into place, potentially taking some of the pressure off the rib cage, which will then sit better into your neutral position. So let's see if you can find neutral, good posture. Think about being nice and tall, and just take a moment to focus in onto your breathing, and good placement through the feet. Oh. So you could do your ordinary breathing, so your abdominal breath. Think about taking time just to gently breathe in and out. Feel that expansion coming all the way down to the bottom of the rib cage. Excellent, nice. Those on screen, just give me a thumbs up if you noticed a difference in your shoulder movements. Yeah, good. Well, that's a good reaction, 100%. Hey, nice. While you're standing here, let's have a think about doing lateral breath. So that's where, because you engage your core into a light contraction, so however you do that, and then try and encourage a deep breath, but use the width. So the lateral capacity of your lungs a little bit more. Really helpful for Pilates. Excellent. All right, so from there, let's do just a little bit of a movement through from toes to heels. Think about gently lifting up onto your tiptoes and then back down again. And then the same, just keep doing a heel lift and then maybe rocking back, so you're lifting your toes and then just gently lifting the heels. Slowly add into that your arm floats, and you can do whichever. So we've got the arm floats that come up and over, but also out to the side, behind maybe. Anything that just loosens off where you've been working hard, no doubt, before the class. Squeaky floorboard time. Again, just utilizing that newfound movement through the shoulders, encouraging movement with the arms, but keeping your shoulders down. Excellent. Okay, let's just come to rest. And could you grab a ball again? So either a knobbly ball or a green ball. And we're going to have a go at just doing a little bit more coordination. I like this move, so we're just going to bring the ball around behind. Try and remember to engage your core, keep that good posture nice and tall. Excellent. So we're going to 4 to 8 in one direction, then 4 to 8 in the other direction, trying to keep hold of the ball. And then we're going to add heel lifts, but we're going to do alternate. So foot pedals, and trying to do the foot pedal where you keep your pelvis still. So it won't stay still, but in your mind, if you say, right, keep it really minimal movement. So as you're doing that foot pedaling, you're only lightly connecting to the floor through your heels, rather than doing all the way down and letting the hip go. There is benefit to doing that as well, but at the moment, I'd like you to focus on stability through there. Good. So using the power through the toes and the heels, looking good. Excellent. All right, then we're going to do over the top of the head. So come to standing, spread the toes, breath in, nice lateral breath in, and then breathing out, just circle that ball over your head. Nice. And then again, so I'm doing it on quite a slow breath pattern, but you can go a little faster if you wish, and you could do a couple, maybe do 2, make a bit of a pattern with it, and then 2 on the other side. Excellent. Really good. So you just go with what you want, and then what we could add to that is the double heel lift. Oops. So try and keep it so you drive through the toes and less knocking of the knees and the rolling through the ankles. So good. Years of swimming for me means I've got quite flexible ankles. So if I'm not careful, this kind of thing happens. So I just want to try and keep using the power if I drive through. Nice. Excellent. Okay, let's put the 2 together, 4 in each direction of the round the world. Keep that foot pedaling light. Excellent. Whoops, moment there. What am I doing? And then double heel lift over the top of the head. Excellent. Really good. Round the world. Superb. Oh, fantastic. So finish that one here. Really nice. And just have a little think. So what we've done, hopefully, is woken up the shoulder area, then energized it with some movement, and then in a little while, we might do some strength work. First of all, let's just do a bit of mobility for the waist. So some side awareness. This can start to then get into a little bit of strengthening work, a little bit of a gentle pressure on the ball and release. And as you do that, think about just bringing the arm forwards. Notice where the movement goes, then drawing the movement back. And you'll probably feel movement around the shoulder blade, and also be aware that there'll be something happening underneath the shoulder blade, so some of the deeper structures. This one, for me, bringing it back is more important because it opens up the top of my shoulder, because I'm a bit like tight through here if I'm not careful. So there's no harm in doing the forward movement, but maybe for me, I'm going to focus more on the backward. So perhaps two of them and then 1 on the forward movement. So know yourself what you need to do. This is a really nice way to wake up those deeper structures. I call them like the spark plugs. There's one of these that sits in the top here, that it does this little lifting movement. So as you pulse up almost, basically, if you can't do that very well, that isn't going to happen. So you need to know that this bit's going to work okay. The top of the shoulder is really helpful for that. Okay, then we're going to do our side bend just before we go to the other side. Again, from a good standing position, grow nice and tall, breath in, and then gently leaning over. Enjoy that stretch and return. Nice. So breath in as you breathe out, leaning over and return. Superb. So by using the ball to keep that pressure in place, it reminds you to keep that good upper body posture, which hopefully in turn stops this kind of thing happening. So instead, we're nicely open, leaning over. When you're ready, repeat on the other side. So we're just starting to do, with the ball on the hip, a little bit of pulsing around. Excellent. And then thinking about, as you bring it back, opening through the top of the chest here. So to me, that feels quite... So all the gardening that we do, all the stuff on our hands and knees. And then also things like driving, sitting, working at computers or writing, and even sitting, reading. We very often end up in this slightly forward position, which means the muscles at the front of the chest strengthen, which is fine, but the ones at the back kind of lose out to that tug of war because they're in a more stretched position. This is giving those ones at the back an opportunity just to wake up and have a bit of exercise. So gentle strength work, just resistance here, helps to encourage that newfound position. Looking good. On screen, okay? All good? Nice. It's a good one, this one, for all of you that are here. Then gently leaning over to one side. Enjoy that stretch and then return. Trying to utilize your core at every point. It's a subtle connection. It's just drip, 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 tucking, working away like a tap that's just gently running. So all the time that connection is there in your core as you lift and lean over to one side. Lovely. Remember, it is a bit of a lift and then a lean over, as if I was leaning over my big stability ball. So, you know, you can't just collapse into it. You've got to lean into it. Okay, fabulous. When you are done with those, just take a moment to put the ball to one side. If you like doing balance work with a challenge, could you grab your block and maybe even a band? Up to you what you do. You could reduce it down. Let's find the collection in the box. I love a box. Chuck it all in there. Makes it look tidy. Put a lid on it. You never know what's in there. All right. Okay. So we're standing on the block to begin with. And the band work that we're going to try and do this morning for the first one, if you take the band around behind you, and we're starting off with a pendulum. I'll show you from forward and then I'll turn around to the side. You may need to just grab the end of your band. Okay, so relax the shoulders down. Think about that core work we've been doing. And the first bit of this is to bring yourself into a standing knee lift and then place or return. You don't have to put your foot back down. The challenge is to do this without putting the foot down. So let's just do 4 of those to begin with. And then the main event, so to speak, is to take the leg behind and extend. So let's add the arms in first off. So we're doing the knee lift. As you place it down, you can extend in front and then above. Okay, so that's the first little section. Standing leg, feel it? I can. Right, then you're doing your knee lift and then arms are going to go out in front as you pendulum the leg back. Nearly did it without falling over. Okay, so we're dropping the arms over the head, so to speak. As you put the arms out in front, it actually does become an overhead lift. And then in the middle, you could do a reach up and then reach out with the leg. Ow! Okay. The aim is to build up resistance in the supporting leg as much as in the movement that we're doing in the hip on the other leg. So like me, if your leg has gone into ouch mode, give it a little bit of a shift from side to side, change over and do the same thing on the other leg. It's even tougher now because the leg you're standing on is the one that's just really had to work as well. Okay, spread the toes, good alignment. And if you can get that alignment, I tend to think squeeze my bum a little bit. That starts things off nicely for me. Okay, so the first bit is just knee lift and back down again. So you're just feeling that support in that leg. Fabulous. Not too much of a wobble. The foot hopefully is going a bit like this. You can feel all those little mini structures having to work. Okay, then you could do, as I've said, as you've got your knee, oh, hang on, the knee is up. As you put it down, you either extend in front, and then over the head, and then overhead. You can put it down on the floor if you need to. I'm just being stubborn and trying to wobble. And remember also, we're going to do the leg behind. So the knee comes up, pendulum that leg back behind you, and then return. I am most definitely on my weaker side right now. So again, I would probably need to think I'll do a few more reps on this side to build it up. When you've had enough of that, gently rock from side to side. Lovely. I'll get you to do some rotation next, which you can either do with the band or the ball, entirely up to you. If we're doing it with the band, you might want to do, yeah, we'll keep hold of it as we've got it and do just a little loop. I'll just make sure you've got the ends of the band. We're going to start off in your normal position, like a prayer position, or you can cross over the chest. So the band is irrelevant here, but we might need it for the next bit. Gently get your set up, good posture, and then think about a gentle breath in, lateral breath in, and then as you breathe out, rotate around. And then I'm breathing into the return, but you can breathe in here and then breathe out. So you can breathe out all the way around and back again. Just depends on your lung capacity. So you choose. Well done. Enjoy those. As I say, the band then comes into, if we then extend the arms, and we're going to do a straight arm to get those shoulders down and rotate into that nice open position. Take the head with you and bring back, and then try the same on the other side. It's a nice bit of resistance from the band. This is bringing a little bit of resistance strength work into the releases that we did at the beginning. So particularly when we were talking around the rib cage, how relevant that is to rotation through the core. So here's a bit of resistance to make those muscles strengthen up a bit. And if they're in this new sort of relaxed position, you might find there's another little bit working, which is excellent. I've deliberately said keep the feet still because we're trying to work through the arches of the feet as well. So you may well feel that they are shifting a little, which is really helpful. Oh, well done. Okay. Have a little breather. Give everything a bit of relax. Okay, brilliant. We've got just, I think, probably enough time now to come down onto the floor. And we'll do it with some roll down. So if you want to get your mat handy, you know me, just bring all your bits of kit so they're nearby. Because I will probably forget to say, we'll get nice and comfy and then we'll go, oh, hang on, you need a ball or you need a block. So pop yourself so you've got good placement. If we could do 3 roll downs, and the first 2, just use them for mobility, for stretch, just a bit of calm. And then the third one is the one we're going to use to transition down and stay down. Good. Thank you for changing camera angles as well, my Zoom experts. And gently just think about nodding your chin as you come down towards the chest. Stretch through the back of the neck as well if you can. Keep the core slightly engaged. At some point, you're probably going to need to slightly bend your knees and just choose your favorite. So it might be you just hang and stretch. You might feel that stretch in the back of the legs. You could potentially walk forward. If, like me, you're a bit stiff through the hamstrings, I tend to go into a modified downward dog first off. So my knees are sort of slightly bent. encouraging the stretch through the shoulders, and then maybe straighten out. They're not quite released enough yet. And stand yourself up and then repeat. So you've done another one of those. Excellent, looking good on screen, very nice. Once you are down, so when you've done your third one, let's use a bit of a cat stretch into just mobilizing the back and then drop the head down and really focus in on coming back to that midpoint, finding that neutral alignment, and take a breath and then just move into an arched position on that breath out. Feel a nice stretch through the shoulders and then maybe breathe in and then breathe out again. Go the other way. Just be mindful if your lower back is a bit stiff, it might not like that full range to begin with, but you can work on building up to that. Then come to the midpoint and then let's do some wagging tails. So rocking from side to side, left to right. I hope you can see me against the background of the curtain. Well done. And also a little bit of a circle. So just circling around the hips in both directions. Nice way just to loosen off any tightness in that area. Well done. And then you might just want to give your wrists a bit of a breather, give them a bit of a stretch. Okay. Right. Good stuff. Just give the wrists a little bit of a stretch off, a loosen off. Really nice. Well done. Okay, so let's come to seated and do the release with the knobbly balls again for the back line through the shoulder, through the lower leg, upper leg, calf, hamstring. Whew. Do a little check out. You probably will have noticed it on the roll downs, but do a check to see if you slightly lean, but try and do it from a neutral position and hinge forward rather than slumping forward and putting pressure on the back. See how far you can go, but more importantly, see how tight it feels through the back of the leg. Yes, mine's a bit like, oof. And then try just placing one ball behind or just at the ankle and one behind the back of the knee. And if you can, again, we're going to try and release the tension through the fascial and myofascial structures. So yes, there's muscle there. Yes, there's bone, tendons, nerves. But let's also see if we can get into this other structure that's often forgotten about, the fascia. But as we know, because we've done a lot of this, actually, if you can release this, you can maybe get a good movement through all of those other structures. So I'm just working side to side and just going left to right. So I'm just moving myself along the ball or picking the balls up and just placing them further up. You can do it by rolling. Oh, there's a nice roll on the, hold on. Yes. There's a nice roll, that's better, it's a little quieter. It's good. Excellent, so we can just roll along that area, give it all a little bit, it's like a massage really. This can be done if you've got foam rollers, you can do it on a foam roller as well. I'd say 3 times, I know I've done more than 3, but I just feel they need a little iron out this morning. So when you've done that first side, have a little sit, same thing, look at the legs, is there any change there? Sometimes it looks, it's almost like it's longer and the knee may sit a little lower. Those are the things that I notice. And then just try reaching forward. Okay, so that side now feels a little bit looser, quite a lot looser actually. Okay, so I'm going to go to the other side, do the same thing. I'm just going to bring the comfy mat with me. Okay. I am liking this newfound camera position. There's lots of space. It's good. Okay, so we're just going from side to side to start with. So this is, if your wrists aren't up to supporting you, this is a good way of doing it. It's just to do a bit in one position and then move the balls yourself. But if you've got the strength in your wrist, just use them. You can support yourself as you glide up and down the ball and just have a little bit of a ring out, shall we say. It's like a sponge. When you move a sponge, because you push down on one bit of the spongy surface, there's a ripple effect. And if you're working and just moving into those areas, perhaps one area where you've worked feels a bit tight, but then everything around it also releases. I don't know if you'll be able to see if I come a little closer to the camera. If you think of this, if I make well, you can actually see where I've pinned this, there's lines. So if you've got a point of tension in your body, there's pain lines that come away from it, like here. So it's the release. So if you can release there, it has a knock-on effect all the way through. So it flattens out like that, okay? So this is sometimes the theory of how it works. Don't need to get into too much theory. If it works and it makes you feel better, that's where I'm happy. Okay, so sitting up nice and tall when you're ready, and then just have another little lean forward. Are you able to get any further? How does it feel? Hamstrings feel a little bit more energized and awake now for me, so that's good. All right, let's do some shoulder bridge. I think that works really nicely. And if you found it helpful in previous classes to put either the ball or the green ball between your knees, then pop the ball between the knees and think about just a gentle squeeze on the ball. Get that nice alignment. Take a moment at this point when you're lying down to find that neutral position. Level up the hips and pelvis as best as you can. And a couple of just breaths just to reset. So lateral breath in, nice breath out. Get that core engaged. And when you're ready, a light squeeze against the ball at the moment is all that we're just going to ask. Slowly come up into your bridge and then gently replace back down. So I'm doing the one where you get aiming to get segmental movement through the bones in your spine. You can do it as a plank bridge. And that's really helpful if you've got a condition in your spine that doesn't require so much mobility, or if you've had like a spinal fusion, or if your back's just feeling a little bit, not sure, just reduce the tilting and do it where you focus more on the buttocks. Again, that's really helpful if you want to squeeze and activate your glutes. I heard a saying the other day that as we age and menopause and post-menopause, a meno bum. I thought, oh, lovely. I think it's slightly better than a secretary's bottom, which was popular in the few decades ago. But basically it's the use it, lose it. And with the hormonal changes as we age, that also has an effect on how quickly we can maintain muscle fiber and build muscle fiber. So this one is a really nice one because it's a good way to get the glutes firing and a nice stretch for the front of the hips. Lovely. And where we've released the hamstrings just now, hopefully they are allowing then the buttocks to work a bit more. That's another thing that can happen. Hamstrings can over tighten and glutes get restricted because of it, or not able to work so well. Looking great. Add to that, so if we say 2 more repetitions, let's add to that some of your progressions. So maybe as you come up, squeeze the ball between the knees, extend the legs. Perhaps you could do arm floats, or even just bring the arms up so they're pointing towards the ceiling, do some little circles. So using gravity, body weight, really nice just to loosen off that shoulder girdle, that shoulder socket. Quite a lovely click going on in my shoulders. That's quite nice. So you can keep it small or slightly bigger and then slowly come down. And as the longer you stay up, you get that resistance starting to happen into the glutes as well. Fabulous. Okay. when you're ready, just have a little stretch out. Oh, lost my leg. It is there. Just a little stretch of the legs out. And then gently hug the knees in towards your chest. Think about nice alignment there. Oh, just relax. Okay, what I'd like to do is to think about how we could use this ball to help activate the core. Now, we've been doing this. I hope it hasn't been causing too much confusion, but this week I'm going to throw another curveball, pardon the pun. So we're going to have same arm, same leg, or opposite arm to leg. Your choice as to where you start. And if you're happy to work with both feet off the ground, your start position is this. If you would prefer to have that on the floor, your start position is here with your hands slightly lower down the thigh, but you're still going to move the other leg into a knee lift and leg extension. So pick your level. But by having that little bit of pressure into the ball and resist it with the leg, hopefully you can feel a bit of a connection building into the deeper muscles. And just make sure you draw in through your pelvic floor. And then the first move we're going to do is just a leg lift and lower. So this is the base level, or you can do imprint level. But if that pulls on your back or you feel as though you're pushing out through your core, then you stay with the first level. Excellent. Just keep that nice right angled position. You can add arm and leg. So it's going to be same side, arm and leg. It can feel slightly different. So whichever level you're doing, you can do stretch the leg out, stretch the arm out. Fabulous. Great work. Ooh, when you need to swap sides, have a little go on the other side. It all helps to subtly connect the core. When you're pushing, try not to round the shoulders. It's a subtle sort of double connection into core, but also shoulder stabilizers. Good. So get 8 or so of those. And then, really nice, good. So good positioning through the ribs and hips. Lovely, really good work on screen. Excellent, nice work. Okay. And then, once you've done that, I'm going to give you some options. So you can either stay on the floor and do hip rolls laying on the knobbly balls, or if you like seated mermaid, join me in this position and we'll do some of those. I quite like these, but it's up to you. I know some of you prefer the hip rolls with the knobbly balls. Okay, so seated mermaid. Have one hand out on the floor, your legs are kind of bent. And then you're lifting that arm that's not on the floor, lift it behind you. So you start to rotate. And then as you come down, you might need to change the hand position slightly so that as you sweep down and round, you can bend the forearm, but get into that stretch. Hold it here, breathe in. Gently lift back up again. At that point, you might want to lift up into this either half or even full. You could even go, oops, full side bridge. Up to you. And then come back down and repeat. So it depends on whether you want to use it as a bit of a wind down stretch or a strengthener. Up to you. You also have an option to do arm openings if you prefer. So you've got your hip rolls laying on the floor. Lovely, really good. 4 of these on one side, then 4 on the other side. Oh, excellent. So maybe just take the arms, oh gosh, feel that in the front of my chest. And then gently coming down, around, and then up. and the lift. So you've got the lift in the bent leg. You can then go to straight or full side bridge, side plank. Excellent. Then just bring it down. Fabulous. Well done. It's a nice way to stretch through the shoulders and then come back down and around, and you get this lovely stretch into the shoulder girdle, lower hip, lower back, which again connects in right back to the start of the class where we were releasing and releasing down around into the hips as well. So it's a nice sort of bit of an energizer. Oh, brilliant. And then as you finish, you can do whatever you like just to stretch off. Maybe hug your knees into your chest. Just take a little bit of time, perhaps. Some of you might even like to try a swan dive, or I don't know. Up to you. But that was a really good class. It obviously, when we do the releases, I think it helps to, as an extra addition into the exercises. It's always good to get into the habit of doing them regularly, a couple of times a week. And if you found them helpful, even more so, lovely. We always do the foot releases before the class. Very nice. Good to see those swan dives. Okay, so those that are watching this on record, thank you for joining me. And I'm